Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Happy Monday. Hope you all had a pleasant weekend. It is time for another episode of the Monday Talks. This one came from a suggestion, and actually, that's something I've been looking for. If there's anybody watching this down there that's always been curious about but never been bothered enough to research, let me know, and I can do some research into it and talk about it. And this one, pardon me, came from the autograph fisherman John Burgess. He said, because I was telling him that, and he said, what about the differences between the NFL and the CFL? And I thought, that's actually good, because I'm curious to see if I know them. And to bring with that, a little throwback to the origination of Jank, the football repack box that I got at Walgreens. And I actually weirdly have pulled CFL card packs out of this in the past. So what we're going to do is we're going to get in, and always remember, if you ever get these, open them from the bottom. We'll do the loose cards, then I'll flip the camera, talk a little bit about what I found out, and there's some interesting stuff. And then we'll come back to the packs. Does not look like we did not get any CFL stuff, but we did get some Sage. Sage is always nice. They're nice looking. But let's get in and start taking a look, and these are just going to be massively good TTM fuel, and freaking almost everything is just backwards. We got Ron Heller, and maybe there's going to be some names in this that I might be bringing up later on in the video. Broderick Thomas, we got Udis, Bernard Berrien, William Floyd, and I love the mix. Tim Biakabatuka, Mark Clayton, there's a name I haven't thought of in a while. Aaron Brooks, same thing. Wayne Gandy, he played for the Steelers a bit. A.J. Terrell, John Roper, Ron Cox. And we got a really interesting mixture. Javon Holland, Jordan Love. It's like a random Jordan Love card. Larry Johnson, Carl Banks, Johnny Morton, Brian Davis, and the old Pro set. This is 89 Pro set. I love it. This is some signing material. Who was that? That was, Joe Morris, James Brooks, Mark May. He's a good signer. I'm going to send to him. Andre Ware, another good signer. Jeff Alm, Jameer Gibbs. Hey, we're getting some actually decent modern stuff. Grayson McCall, unsure who you are, but I think that's a purple one. Micah Parsons. Ooh, Cowboys. There you go. Shout out Julie Farnham, J.J. McCarthy. J.J. gets a stand, because he'll be back. Keon Coleman, a pair of them. Elijah Jones, Audric Estime? Not sure, actually. Jackson Mitchell, Roshan Johnson, who just got dropped off my fantasy team, but it is a Trinity randomly. Just keeps getting hurt, unfortunately. Couple more. Ooh, wait. Oh, USFL. Oh, the new USFL. I might have to do a deep dive into the old USFL. Colin Schlee, great name. Chris Sanders, Kyrie Jackson, there we go, Caleb Williams, Blake Corum, and then a couple of the new USFL cards, which I haven't actually seen. Rashard Davis for the Memphis Showboats. Case Cookus, who are the Stars? Who are they? Philadelphia Stars. And Mark Thompson for the Houston Gamblers. I'm sorry, the new USFL was just... which is why it's not here anymore. It was just unfortunate. Flip time! All right, hi everybody, how are you? Oh my god, hold on a minute, I gotta pause this. Okay, I was gonna say, there was some schmutz on the camera, as I was saying, I don't look that bad. I look bad, but not that bad. But no, look, notes, I mean, we'll go through them quick. And I know people in America, we don't know much about the CFL. We look at it as, if you even heard of it, you kind of look at it as, inferior to the NFL. But if you look at it like the Grey Cup, the championship trophy for the CFL, that's been around a lot longer than the NFL. That was first awarded in 1909. Lombardi Trophy wasn't awarded until 67 and wasn't even named the Lombardi Trophy until 71 after Vince died. But the CFL, as it is now, was founded in 58. The NFL predated that by a while, 1920, but still, football has been played in North America, Canada, and the U.S. since they're saying going back to the 1860s, if not before, to kind of a fusion of rugby and what became football. But the biggest difference is if you just look at it, the field. The field is a lot bigger. The CFL field is 110 by 65 yards. NFL, 100 by 53 and a third. So bigger playing surface. NFL's end zones are 10 yards. CFL's are 20. CFL gets 12 players. I mean, that's another big one. There's 12 players to a side. On offense, it's usually some sort of slot receiver. And because of that, and because of the 12th man, they don't really have the position of tight end that we here in the NFL have. And on defense, it's usually an extra defensive back, like another dime corner or a nickel corner or something. Only 3 downs for the CFL, 4 for the NFL. But weirdly, as I was looking, and this I knew that, but I didn't know this. That was actually the standard when football first was created. It was always 3 downs in Canada and America. But in 1912, for whatever reason, the U.S. changed it from 3 downs to 4 downs. Let's see. Timeouts. You get 2 timeouts per game in the CFL. 3 per half in the NFL. But 2 per game in the CFL. But the difference is, in the NFL, there's the 2-minute warning. But in the CFL, there's the 3-minute warning. And the difference there is, once the 3-minute warning hits, every time the play is done, the clock stops. The clock will not continue to roll as it does in the NFL, and you can milk the clock. You can't actually do that in the CFL. You can't wind it down. So that's why they only give them 2 per side, or 2 per game, I should say. They do have challenges in the CFL, but only 1 per game instead of, 2 per half, or 2 per game in the NFL, and they're not allowed to use it. There's no timeouts, and you can't challenge. You can't throw the flag within the 3-minute warning of the half and the end of the game, and there's no timeouts in overtime, none whatsoever. So it's very interesting. Now another good one. Excuse me. On for points, in the NFL, the fewest amount of points you can legally on its own anytime score on a play is 2 for a safety. But actually in the CFL, they have a 1-point play called the Rogue. You get that if a team misses a field goal or punts it into the end zone, right? If the opposing team does not get it out of the end zone, then the result is the 1-point Rogue for the kicking team. And the other time you can get it, and this is where I got to look and see if I've ever actually seen it in the CFL films I've watched. If the ball goes through the end zone and completely out of bounds, without being touched by anyone or anything, on a missed field goal or a punt, that's a 1 point for the kicking team, and the opposing team gets the ball at the 40-yard line. Excuse me, it's really interesting. I kind of like that. The goalposts, because the end zone is twice the size of the NFL one, and the NFL goalposts are in the back of the end zone. Weirdly, the CFL is at the front, how it used to be in the NFL, and they did that basically because of the field difference to make the distances essentially generally the same as in the NFL because of that 10-yard. Man, I got that one hair that's just killing me. No, there is no fair catch on punt returns in the CFL. You wave your hand, it doesn't matter. You have to pick the ball up and run with it or let it go out of bounds. And the last one I found is the motion. You can have guys motioning toward the line of scrimmage. I think one guy in motion in the NFL. 2 guys can go forward in Arena League. But in the CFL, any of the players in the backfield, so that's everybody except the linemen, technically, are allowed to move toward the line of scrimmage regardless of what position they are, if they're standing up or down in the 3-point stance. And then one more thing, we're going to flip it over, and then I'll end with me. And this is something I wondered. Has a CFL team ever played an NFL team? Turns out they have. Between 1950 and 1961, there were 7 games between NFL teams and CFL teams. The CFL has a 1-6 record, excuse me, unfortunately for them, against the NFL. And it's interesting. August the 12th, 1950, the New York Giants beat the Ottawa Rough Riders 27-6. The following year, August 11th, 51, it was a rematch, and the Giants again beat the Rough Riders 41-18. Take a bit of a break. We fast forward to August of 1959. The Chicago Cardinals, back in the old day, stupid friggin' hair, beat the Toronto Argonauts 55-26. August the 3rd, 1960, the Steelers beat the Argonauts 43-16. And then in the final stretch, these were the last three games. They all happened within a week of each other in 1961. August the 2nd, the St. Louis Cardinals at that time beat the Argonauts 36-7. August the 5th, the Bears beat the Montreal Alouettes 34-16. And the final one, August the 8th of 1961, the Hamilton Tiger Cats defeat the Buffalo Bills by a score of 38-21. I found that rather fascinating. I did not know that the teams had ever played. There is something else I'm going to cover in the second half of this. But for now, we're going to flip back and look at the Sage stuff. Okay, we're back. Unfortunately, no CFL cards, but we did get some Sage. And these are just nice-looking cards. And plus, you randomly, because they come out so far before the draft, you can always end up getting some pretty decent names. And there's some of the silvers. And we will do that. See, right there, we got a CJ Stroud, and this is Sage Artistry, which I love. Chris Olave, Tyler Van Dyke, Tyler Beatty? I don't know. Zaquandre White, Brandon Smith, and I love the look of these. Jermaine Johnson, I got an autograph of his somewhere. Brian Asamoah, Breece Hall on the possibly slightly cursed New York Jets. Kyron Williams, now we get to the silver inserts, or the silver parallels. Brian Robinson Jr., Michael Woods II, Brian Cook, and Alec Pierce. A couple of good ones out of there. Got Stroud, Olave. There was another name. Oh, Breece Hall. There's some really good ones in that pack. And then the 2022 High Series Collector's Edition. Watch me pull an auto. Come on, pull an auto. We got a next level something. We got this guy again, Tyler Batty, I think. Trey Sterling. Here's our silver, Brandon Peters. But then the problem is you get a lot of these guys that you go, who? Exactly. Corey Sutton. And the next level of Matt Corral. Unfortunately, just with his injury, he came in, and I think, during camp. What was it? The Liz Frank thing in his foot, and that's just a bear to overcome. So unfortunately, never got off the ground. All right, I'm going to flip it back one more time, and then we're going to outro out of here. Hi, we're back. Remember me? Unfortunately. So what was the last thing I yammered about? Oh, it was the CFL versus NFL teams. Then, but now you're wondering, and there's a couple big names that have played in both the CFL and the NFL, so I put together just a short list. Swervin' Marvin Fernandez played for the BC Lions to begin and end his career 82-86, and then 94, won 2 Grey Cups there in 85 and 94, and actually is in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. Jeff Garcia, he had a nice NFL career, played for the Calgary Stampeders from 94 to 98, and in 98 not only won the Grey Cup, but was the MVP. Fred Biletnikoff, I did not know this, ended his career with the Montreal Alouettes in not a half-bad season in 1980. Andre Bad Moon Rison ended his career with the Argonauts 04 to 05, won a Grey Cup in 2004. Couple more. Cam Wake, if we remember him, really good defensive lineman for the Dolphins before injuries took him, but he is a member of the 100 Sack Club. Started his career with the BC Lions 2007 to 2008, was Rookie of the Year in 2007, was defensive player, its most outstanding defensive player, but essentially their defensive player of the year both seasons he was there, 07, 08. And because of the dominance he had, he is a member of the CFL's 2000s All-Decade team. Joe Horn, formerly of the New Orleans Saints, played for the American expansion. There was a couple years when there was a few American teams in the CFL. He played for the Baltimore Stallions in 94 and the Shreveport Pirates in 95. And I want to bring this up because it was in the year 1995, the Baltimore Stallions won the Grey Cup. So an American team in the expansion, won the Grey Cup. Only 2 years, and they did. Actually, the Baltimore Stallions were a very good football team. Probably the biggest one everybody knows, Warren Moon. Warren Moon played for the Edmonton Eskimos from 78 to 83 to start his career. So when he got to the NFL, he was pretty old and still dominant. 5-time Grey Cup champion every year from 1978 to 1982. He was the MVP twice in 1980 and 1982, and is a member of not only the Canadian Football Hall of Fame, but the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and was the league MVP in 1983. 2 more, Joe Kapp played for the Calgary Stampeders 59 to 60, then the BC Lions 61 to 66, won the Grey Cup in 1964 with BC, and is in the College and Canadian Football Hall of Fame. And the final one, big name, Doug Flutie. Everybody loves Doug Flutie. BC Lions 90 to 91, the Stampeders 92 to 95, the Argos from 96 to 97, 3-time Grey Cup and MVP 92, 96, and 97, and was the 6-time league MVP, 91 to 94, 96, 97, Canadian and College Football Hall of Fame. And interestingly enough, until the year 2020 season is when it happened. The leader in passing yards in the history of gridiron football was a guy by the name of Anthony Calvillo, played the entirety of his career in the CFL, I think mostly for Montreal. He had 79,916 passing yards. 2 guys have more than him. In 2020 season, Drew Brees passed him to become the first player to go over 80,000 yards, and then the following year, in 2021, Tom Brady passed Drew Brees, but you're looking, Anthony Calvillo is still number 3, and I think about 6,000 or 7,000 passing yards ahead of whoever second place is, but they're also long retired. There's not many people close. There's not many people close to getting, to touching Calvillo's numbers. And John, we have to discuss it. We got to talk about balls. Get your minds out of the gutter. Now, because it was one of those things you always heard. The CFL has bigger balls than the NFL. Always heard it. So I dug into it. Turns out, almost. When the CFL was formed in 1958, they were using one specific manufacturer of football. And they were, at that time, starting in 1958, yes, the CFL balls were a good amount bigger than the NFL football. However, there was a lot of complaints because as time went on, the balls actually started to lose their shape and wouldn't hold air, and they were just really not good quality footballs. So they switched manufacturers after the 1985 season, and not only did they switch manufacturers, but conformed the dimensions of the football to match the NFL. So from 1986 onward, the only difference between the CFL football and the NFL football is basically the color. The color and the stripes that go all the way around in the CFL. That's it. I legitimately thought, but yeah, for all that, but then they did that campaign in the 90s, the CFL has bigger balls. Like, well, they did, but at that time they didn't. So I found that really fascinating. So sorry, Canada. Balls are equal size. And that's also coming, that came from the CFL database. And also, it was a lot of players, CFL players, from modern, and were there in the 90s. They said, no, it used to be really hard to hold a CFL football compared to the NFL ball. Not anymore. Now they're the same. So just a nice little interesting tidbit. We flip around, and I am going to say thank you so much for joining me on this random Monday filled with all kinds of hoopla and, smoke and mirrors and whatnot. But thank you, John Burgess, excuse me, for the idea. This was a fun one because I actually learned a lot, and I hope you guys all did too. Like I said, if anybody has anything that they've been curious about but not curious enough to invest time into, let me know. Zach will do it. Maybe that'll be the tagline. I'll research it so you don't have to. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me. And again, shout out Julie Farnham and JJ McCarthy coming back next season. That's going to do it for Monday. Thanks so much for joining me. Thank you for taking the time. It means an awful lot. That's all I got. So until next time, we will see you later.